Okay, I'll just do my intro and then
Yeah.
we'll dive in. All right.
Cool.
All right. Let me double check. I'm recording. Okay. All right. Welcome to the Hot Pass Podcast. We have an honorary Canadian on this week. This is the Friday morning betting show. Just make sure to go to the YouTube Hot Pass Podcast. Go to the Hot Pass Podcast on all platforms, whether it's Apple, Spotify, wherever the hell, whatever you use at this point, and listen to it. Monday and Fridays, truck bets are exclusively to the Friday morning betting show. So welcome. We have a legend himself. He moves from Phoenix, correct?
Yep.
Arizona.
Yep.
And he moves to the north.
Yep.
Into BC, rainy BC.
Yep.
And then within the first couple of weeks, he sees the northern lights. He is a changed man.
Oh,
He
man.
came out naked,
Yeah.
was underneath the northern lights,
Yep.
and let the spirits talk to him. So, Chris, introduce yourself, my friend.
Yeah. Hey, my name's Chris Werme, and I have been, I guess, recently let into Canada to live. I submitted my PR application a little bit before we moved up here, and yeah, moved up here to start a family with my wife. She's from North Vancouver, so we just moved to a place called Squamish, and move's complete. And oh, by the way, got a kid on the way, so everything's kind of going well. Yeah. Yeah, you're a little frozen on my end.
Oh, no. Here. Okay, we're good. I don't know why the connection ended, but hey, if anybody didn't connect or didn't hear that or whatever, I don't know why my bars are dropping right now. But if nobody heard that, he's having a baby. So that's a Canadian baby right there, man.
Yep.
A little boy. Wow. Okay, so
yeah.
Wait, this was obviously, if you're already knowing,
yeah,
this is conceived in the Americas.
Yes. Yeah, like maybe the last ditch effort before we moved up here, probably. But yeah, due November 14th. Congrats, so super excited. It works out well with the NASCAR season. I can just transition from full-time NASCAR betting to full-time dad.
And then you'll be a couple of months in. And then the season starts again.
Then the season starts again.
Okay, so let's just break down I just want to get a little overview, because I'm going to be learning a little bit about yourself too, because like we've only became kind of pals or whatever over social media over the last couple of weeks. How did you get into like professional, like you're professional NASCAR gambler, right? Or like, is it mainly you stick with that? And how did you get into it?
Yeah. That's my primary source of income, is betting on NASCAR. I have a significant amount of skin in the game. When I say I'm betting something, I'm not limping in. I usually have, betting across multiple books, the same bets to get as much down as I can in certain instances. But I'm originally from a small town in Michigan, so out your way.
Oh, right on.
And grew up not having bet on anything in my life. I moved out to Scottsdale, Arizona. I was working at a golf course as a caddy, and caddies gamble. And
I'm not gonna lie, you
a lot.
look like one of those guys.
And you find yourself all of a sudden playing like cribbage for like $5 a point, and the next thing you know, you're betting the full slate of NFL football on Sundays, and then gosh, it turns into you just have action on everything. And what we found was I was living with a buddy who was really good at NASCAR betting, and I wasn't much for betting on anything at the time. But if you're going to win, I'm interested in winning money. So kind of did it with him for a few years, started doing it on my own, got connected with Todd Furman kind of randomly. I sat next to his sister on an airplane, and she's like, "Oh, you use 5 dimes to bet. My brother has a site called Todd's Take." And I don't know, I go to Todd's Take, and I was like, "Oh, I actually agree with your brother on a lot of stuff." And then so she just kind of set us up and grabbed a beer in Vegas, and now we got the Stay Green podcast that we do every week. And it became, I was able to take it much more seriously once it became legal in Arizona. And you're not dealing with shady bookies as much, and it's just now I have a lot to say about the regulated or the operators. But yeah, that's kind of how I got my start, and it's given me a lot of autonomy to kind of do what I want with my time.
When did you start? Like, when did you realize that you can do this as like your full-time thing?
You know,
Like,
the
was there a
crazy
couple
thing
years
is,
in or a couple months in, and then
oh, it
like
was
what
like
was the
8 years
realization?
in.
Yeah,
8 years
wow.
into doing
It
it,
was a
yeah.
while ago.
It wasn't it the crazy thing about doing it professionally is when it was just me, I was single at the time when I was doing this, and, you just kinda decide I mean, I read a lot. I'm gonna throw books at you. The War of Art is the name of a book, and it
I think I've
talks
heard
about
of that.
yeah, it talks about what it takes to be a professional. A lot of it is just your mindset, and
Right.
I'm not saying that I just, "Oh, I'm gonna be a pro bettor." Listen, I had a history of doing quite well.
And a history of being at the lows and learning from that as well
Yes,
too,
yeah.
right?
I think that's the hardest part. The most overlooked part of being a professional sports bettor
Yeah.
is the lows. Listen,
Oh, yeah,
anyone
man.
can enjoy themselves after a big win. Like,
Yeah.
that's the easy part. It's, losing 2, 3, 4 weeks in a row, questioning whether you can even win again. And,
Yeah,
you're looking at the same shit week in and week out, right? You're like,
yeah,
you don't just stumble across like, oh, I found a new like data point that all of a sudden I feel like is a new edge. That doesn't happen. You have to just say like,
yeah.
okay, what's working, what's not working. That's why I think it's really important to go back after the races and go, hey, where was I right and where was I wrong? And how can I
And
tweak the process to down the line?
yeah, and I think it's the same thing as anything you do if even it's a regular job. If you
Mhm.
keep fucking up anything, like I work in construction, if you measure something and then you don't measure it twice and you cut the thing and then you just keep doing that and you keep cutting it short every time, you just go, okay, well, all right, either you're going to be an idiot, and you're going to keep doing that
Yeah,
and then you're
exactly.
wasting material, or you're going to sit there and be like, okay, what am I doing wrong? I need to fix this. It's the exact same thing.
Yeah, it's just important to get it right. I think it's really cool to make money in this fashion where you're using your mind to make money, but
Yeah.
then all of a sudden you become obsessed with like making the right decision. And
Yeah.
that's, I joked like at my wife's like at our wedding, like right now in the States, uh marriages are like 50-50. They're gonna make it, right? Like 50% divorce
Oh,
rates.
well,
Yeah. So
welcome to
like,
Canada, dude. It's
and
not
but
changing. You're still 50-50 up here,
yeah, but
baby.
fortunately for me, I've made a living off of
Yeah.
picking the right side of 50-50 bets. So
Right.
that's ultimately what it comes down to, is just making the right decision in the long run.
Well, yeah, I totally get that. And that's the long-term dream, is to be able to do that. And I'm pretty new with it. And I started off like I haven't even really talked about that on here either, is I started off with just like it just became legal in Ontario, and I was listening to like Dale Tanhart and their
Yeah.
podcast and would make a
He's
little bit of
having, by
money
the
here and
way, Dale, I gotta say this. Dale is a kind of just a buddy, like kind of acquaintance, like we are.
there.
He is having an incredible betting year.
Oh, yeah, dude.
Incredible.
Like,
Like,
he's been extremely bad the last couple of years in the Cup Series. Like, you'd go to his Action Network and look at it,
yeah,
and all of us, I don't know about you, but I know, like, Ryan from Win the Race, Greg Mathern, Mark, from like Skybox NASCAR, like,
yeah.
we all talk to each other and we all go, these last minute cautions, late race
Oh
cautions have
yeah.
killed us, and we either go negative or we're like breaking even, right? And I'm
Yeah.
pretty good at breaking even on a weekly basis. Like I
Good.
somehow I'm breaking even or just a little bit negative.
Yep.
But Dale has been on the right side of history
Dude, he's
this year.
been great. He's been great. It's hard to do it like last year. There's a guy, Jason, that posts picks. I thought last year he was as good as anybody in the Cup Series.
Yeah.
Um,
Was he
I'll
the guy that parlayed like Eric Almirola and Martin Truex at Sonoma last year
oh,
and hit
maybe,
that? Because that
maybe.
shit was crazy. I was just thinking
Yeah.
about that. This
You want to
like
talk
while
about a
doing all this
fast car
reading.
not winning? I was so mad at Larson. I had a truckload on Larson, like 2-1. He unloaded so fast. Even AJ Allmendinger was talking about how he's like, well, I can't beat Larson, but second place would be good. And what a crazy late restart. Now Almirola wins.
So and well, yeah, because didn't and Larson hit the tires.
Yeah, Larson, like he was going around like turn 11 just to, and he swerved
If,
left.
if
Like that's a,
nobody's watched that race, go back and just watch like the highlights from
oh
Fox or
my,
whatever. And I'm sure the guy, Eric Almirola, I think at the beginning of the week was like 200-1 or something
yeah,
like that, or whatever, to
yeah.
win the race. He hasn't won. That team's never won.
The team's never won. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And when he sees that guy, and they're like, he's coming down, he's catching Eric Almirola. And when he clips those tires, that guy must have been like it's fucking happening. Because then Martin Truex was so good in practice and everything, and and everybody was like, "That's probably the car to beat." And you're sitting there like, "Oh my god, it's gonna happen." That's like once in a lifetime.
Yeah, like, for sure. But dude, those things happen. Look at last week.
Man.
Like, it is important to understand that, and I talked about this in the podcast with Todd Furman that came out today. I know that there's a lot of people upset about Blaney running out of gas.
Yeah,
but you're kind of lucky that Bell blew an engine. Like, so, like, if you didn't have Bell, you were wrong. Like,
you were wrong.
And I was wrong. I think this is really important. I look back at everything. I go, I missed Chris Bell. So yes, I had a profitable weekend only because I had a crumb on Austin Cindric at 150-1 from before practice and qualifying.
Wow.
But
I was wondering what his numbers were before practice and qualifying.
300 is what he opened. 300 is what he opened. Yeah. I had some people send me, I don't remember saying this. Some people sent me DMs like, "Hey, I have Cindric and McDowell at 300-1." And I was like, "Whoa, that's crazy." They go, "But you said if you're going to bet Cindric, do it at this is the track to do it." I'm like, "But I didn't even bet him."
Yeah.
And other people did. And then they're showing me these tickets of 300-1 on both McDowell and Cindric at 300-1.
And people that I know, I got some listeners that don't bet. Now 300-1 is like, you bet $10, you win $3,000.
Yeah.
So like, guys, that's insane. That's insane, dude. And I'm sure I would have done that. Like, if I would have thought, like, but I know he's been like kind of good here. Cinder's like, he runs just outside the top 10, but who would have thought, right? But in the same, Blaney obviously, or sorry, Bell obviously missed a shift or something and revved and blew his engine. And that's why I don't take Bell, because he's snake bitten. Like, something goes on with that team. When he wins, like, I got him at Phoenix, but I mean, that was obvious to take.
That was obvious. I don't know anyone that wasn't on Bell. And if they weren't, it's like, what's your explanation for not being on Bell?
I took him before practice and qualifying, and we'll get into the cards in a second. We'll talk about the races for Sonoma, but just Chris and I don't always get to talk face to face like this. But I took Bell early on in the week at like 14 or 15-1, whatever it was, because I was like, this motherfucker, he blew his brakes at a brake rotor or whatever at the championship race.
Mm-hmm.
This guy's coming back for revenge. That was all in my mind. I was just like, that's my mindset. And then all of a sudden he's blowing the field apart. I went, oh, I'm putting more on this, dude.
Yeah.
And won an absolute bag. When Bell shows up, he's fucking fast.
When Bell shows up, there's no question who the best car is. Like,
but don't even get me started, me being at the Coke 600 and that race not continuing on. That was bullshit. Drive 12 hours. And I'm looking at the track in 3 and 4. I talked about it on the podcast, and it's dry.
Yeah.
And we're all sitting like, what's going on?
And is there, like, did NASCAR do that on purpose to prove a point to Kyle Larson? I mean, I guess if you want to throw your tinfoil hat on, it's like, hey, he didn't race. He made every effort, and then they just kind of pulled it out from under. I don't think, there's also
I lost my voice because when he was coming on the backstretch, right? Like right where he landed with his helicopter is where my tent was. And he's coming and he's landing. And they're like, caution. There's rain in the vicinity, not on the track, in the vicinity. And all of us, there's a bunch of guys around us. I don't even know them. We're all screaming like, fuck you, NASCAR, because you're doing this for him. You're doing, like, it's so blatantly obvious. And people are flipping me the middle finger, telling me to go fuck myself. I went, oh, you guys are probably the same people that were cheering for Chase Elliott the day before, when Brandon Jones and all of Junior Motorsports work so hard every week to win, and you guys are like,
dude, Chase got so lucky in that race. Chase got lucky.
He wasn't even the best car.
No, not even close. He got lucky.
Oh, and people are like, I'm the smartest person in the world for betting Chase Elliott.
Yeah.
No, you're not.
You probably got a bad number, because you could get a better number live. I got a better number live, so I know that.
You SOB.
Yeah. Well, but it's hard. I think it's hard to bet when you're at the races.
Yeah. And see, for me, like living in Canada, when I'm down there, I'm stuck. So I bet early on in the week, William Byron and Chris Buescher and a couple other guys. But like top 10 market, anything like that. Like anytime I've gone to a track, I'm going down there so early that I can't make any more picks until it's like Michigan or Watkins Glen, because I'll go later on the week since it's closer to me. I'm kind of screwed. So I tell everybody on the podcast, like, hey, I'm taking outright picks. Do what you want this week. I'm kind of screwed. So, all right, let's dive in to Sonoma. Do you do any Xfinity picks?
Yeah.
Do you? Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I haven't bet anything this week, but I mean, I bet Xfinity. I bet trucks and Xfinity as well. I'm not as sharp on those particular series as I am the Cup Series, just because limits are much lower. And so my care level's a little bit less. But yeah, absolutely. I watch every race.
You never really talk about it. Yeah. So
I watch every race. I watch all practice, all qualifying, every race for the last 12 years of my life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So well, I'll ask quick and then we'll get into the car. What does the wife think about that? Because I just broke up with my lady, but she got into it, dude. Like she was going to the race, and people at work, they'd be into her, like at her work, they'd be into NASCAR, and who's your favorite driver? And she'd just go, trucks, Xfinity, or Cup. And then they're all like, whoa, who's this bitch? Oh, look at her.
Okay.
What does your lady think?
She's not a NASCAR aficionado. She could probably name 10 drivers in the Cup Series, 0 in the Xfinity
McDowell Series. And Kyle Larson is
mixed sectional. Mixed sectional. And then the bed shitter and Kyle Larson. She's actually the one that came up with that name. So
good.
You know what? Ever since I've known her, I've been betting NASCAR professionally. So it's not.
Oh, okay.
It's not. It was harder. It's been harder in the past when people they look at it like it's an option for me to do this, and it's like fun for me. And it's like, hey, I'm sorry, I enjoy my job.
Yeah. So was it like it was early on in your relationship or whatever? It was probably a little harder to try and.
She was like, "Wait, you do what?" I'm like, "Trust me." Open a bet.
I've got girls now or whatever that DM me and we're messaging or Hinge or whatever, right? They're like, "Wait, you what?"
Yeah.
And I go, "Yeah." And I was like, I still work construction, but like I've been laid off since February, but I've been like, I get unemployment, but I've made money off of doing this.
Of course.
So I mean, it's the dream, right? So, and I've realized that at some point I want to move to the States, but this free healthcare is too good. But
we're in the state. Right. Well, we can talk about that later.
Yeah, we can talk about that later. Anyways, all right. So I don't really have anything either. People can go check out on Bob Pockris or NASCAR to check out the lineups or whatever for Xfinity. But I feel like it's a bit of a fucking stinker because we do have Ty Gibbs in the field. SVG, obviously, again. AJ Allmendinger. I had Justin. Everybody knows I had Justin Allgaier last week.
Oh, weird.
And that motherfucker should have won. SVG was doing bumper cars with everybody. So, I mean, I'm not.
Okay,
I'm keeping it very low key.
Here's the thing in the truck series. You have to be careful of. These are the 3 drivers you have to be very careful of after practice and qualifying because you can just fall in love with them. Ty Majeski in the truck series loves to.
Oh my, yes, dude.
Loves to not win. Like he'll look good in practice. He'll put it on the pole. He'll lead the most laps, and he'll just not win. The Xfinity Series, Justin Allgaier. It's hard to find a nicer guy, maybe on planet Earth, than Justin Allgaier. He's positive on the radio. If his team screws up, he's like, "I got you. This is a team sport. I'll take care of you. You guys get me later."
Figure this out, baby.
Like he's the best at that. Like he's so nice. He loves to lose. And then Kyle Larson. I mean, he looks great in practice. He leads
the Coke 600 weekend for the Xfinity Series for Justin Allgaier was absolutely the dumbest move he could have done. I love him. He's coming on the podcast probably next week.
Nice.
What were you doing? Yeah. I'm not going to bring it up to him, but what were you doing? There's no reason to block there, but And then Larson, exactly same thing. It's hard to bet on him.
Well, you're just getting such a short price. The thing is, those are guys that are always short prices. You know, Ty still, even though he's not the same as Eckes and Heim, he's still he's still 5-1 every week.
He's the third guy on the list.
Yeah, right? He's always the third. Yeah, he's always the third favorite, and he can look so good in practice, and he just doesn't win. It's really hard to back those guys because they're good every week. They're short prices and they just don't finish races. And then there's guys on the flip side where, dude, Corey Heim, week in and week out, just out executes everybody.
The only thing he does wrong is he qualifies 12th.
Yeah.
But then the thing is it doesn't matter because in the books too. He's driving within like 10, 20 laps. He's back up in the front.
Oh,
again.
For sure.
He's there.
I mean,
at some point, he's going to be up there.
Yep. Yeah. So same with Allgaier. Allgaier doesn't always qualify well. Yeah. But those guys are I've lost a lot of money on those three assholes this year.
Yeah. I can only that was the only time I've got in on Justin Allgaier because I don't want to pay the price because I know that something is going to happen. Something is going to happen. And I'd rather take a guy like Sam Mayer has been my boy at Texas. And he's been consistent, right? He's just been consistent. So like this week, the only play I've taken, only because Austin Hill and Jesse Love last week looked like absolute dog poop, and we're going back-to-back road courses. And you'd think Austin Hill, he can kind of just show up whenever. And this could hurt me, but I think it was Bet365, I took Parker Kligerman. Now, I'm not saying this could absolutely hurt me, but Parker Kligerman over Austin Hill. That's the only bet I've taken because Parker Kligerman seems at this point to only show up at road courses.
Yeah,
he's minus 115.
Parker Kligerman. This is a rule of thumb on Parker Kligerman. He's really good on road courses and high tire wear tracks. That's where he actually, I think, sets himself apart from the field. If you look at last year, I mean, he finished 5th at Sonoma last year. Yeah. So he has experience at the track.
I think that was his only start too.
Well, maybe.
In Xfinity, that was his only start. I think it said on Racing Reference too.
Yeah,
so he started for him to finish 5th there in his first time.
Yeah, he finished 1st, but that was the first time that the Xfinity's been there, I think, in a while.
Oh yeah, true. Exactly.
But yeah, that's still 5th in a field that has Kyle Larson, Eric Almirola wins, and AJ Allmendinger, Ty Gibbs. That's pretty good. I think Parker Kligerman on road courses and high tire wear tracks is typically undervalued. The only thing with Austin Hill is he just tends to get good finishes. He finishes better than his average running position, which is what you want in a driver.
Yeah, and I think a lot of us took him last week because you looked at how he ended up finishing or whatever at COTA, right? But then whatever they brought last week, he was like not even inside the top 10 all day. He was riding like 14th or 15th all day. Jesse Love was nowhere close. So that's the only pick I've taken. I think that's, unless I get another head-to-head or I see something for top 5, I think I'm going to just hold off on that because I don't want to just be an absolute shambles like last week with Justin Allgaier. I might take Ty Gibbs because this motherfucker, he can come down and dominate. I saw 3-1 on Bet Rivers at some point when Bet Rivers opened. I think the last time I checked, they're plus 275. The last time he came down to a road course was, I think, at Indianapolis last year, and he just smoked the field.
Yeah.
And we had multiple restarts. So I think I'd take Ty Gibbs, but
I like Ty with a repave, and you're talking about anywhere from there. So I've heard, I read like 2-second difference, and then door bumper clear brought up like a 4-second difference. Like, to me, that's almost,
I don't even think we know what's going on.
We don't know so, I am not someone that wants to speculate on what I think is going to happen with a new track. Let's just let the week come to us. If let's just say, based on this field, I imagine that Allmendinger will probably look the best with Ty Gibbs in practice, but you also have to remember that SVG is going to learn a hell of a lot from the first time he goes on the track till the 20th lap of the race. So, it'll be, for me, okay, who looks the best out of kind of those top tier drivers? Is it Dinger, Ty, or SVG? Take a side on one of them as long as you can kind of get that 2-1 range. But I think that beats trying to pick who's going to be the best out of the 3 of those at 3-1, right? Like, I'd rather take a shorter price knowing that they have the speed on the long run. And we don't even know if there's going to be fall off. Like, is the long run even important? Are you just going to get on pit road as soon as you're inside your window and then never get on it again? Probably. If that's the case, I tend to shy away from these tracks where it's just heavy track position. and more about just strategy. I like to bet on fast cars over the long run.
Yeah.
We might not know. We might just kind of have a conveyor belt going around here with this new track. So I'm apprehensive, but also if someone looks good, I mean, we'll fire away.
Yeah, that's the same thing with me. Is I've taken a lot of action in the Cup Series. We're going to get into that, but it's only because it is a repave, and I feel like there's a lot of the old dogs that are just absolutely like long shots, and I'll take it. I want to get in early. But yeah, with the Xfinity Series, is I'm just waiting. Exactly same thing. I'm waiting till practice. I want to see who's fast, because yeah, it could be exactly the same thing as like some other tracks where it's just a conveyor belt. You're just watching them all go around. The odd car is going to be in the back. Like SVG was a fast car last week.
Yeah.
But like he just kept getting into a couple of guys, but eventually he'd work his way back up to second, and he's going to be there. I mean, in practice, he's going to be up there. He's going to be up there in the top 5, I think, with his fast numbers. And I think
of course,
at this point, I think SVG would probably be the play, because this motherfucker's got a big old brain going on.
Yeah, and he was fast at Coda too. I think he was kind of the best there. He was probably the best, last week as well. But Allgaier wants a championship. SVG ain't competing for a championship. I mean, he is, but he's not. He needs to win road course races. And Chris Rice was on Door Bumper Clear talking about we got to win. And so I think that, as bummed as Allgaier is that he doesn't win that race, he has to be happy with his finish and just leaving with some points, because in the past he's had issues where he didn't win. He didn't finish in the top 20. So
he's like, at first he's upset, right? You can see it on the broadcast, but like a day or two goes by and they do like their meeting at Junior Motorsports. He's like, okay, yeah, right. There's a long shot here. Like there's not a long shot, a bigger picture to all of this.
Yeah, there is.
Right.
Yeah.
So is there any play is there any plays you played now? Or you usually wait till practice for Xfinity, or?
It depends. This week I'm waiting on a lot just because of the repave. It's really hard. A lot of people ask, so what's your typical, week look like, or from a betting perspective? It all depends on the odds. I'll get messages after practice from, you make money betting on sports for a living, and you get a lot of texts from all of your friends wanting to know what to play. Weird. So a lot of the times there's a big difference between who's the fastest car and what's the best bet. Those are two completely different things. Sometimes the best bet isn't always the fastest car. Like last week, Austin Cindric turned out to be the best bet, even though not the best car. So that's the difference.
At all.
But if it all depends on where odds open, sometimes you just something's a little off, and you have a lot going into the weekend before practice and qualifying. I would say since in the last 2 years, since I've kind of come out publicly with what I do and talking about it, I feel like odds have gotten significantly sharper, and I do way less.
Thanks for that, I guess.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Fucked all of us.
I always tell people, the guys, if you think that odds makers aren't watching or listening, you're wrong. They're watching, they are 100%. And so when you post something, or you just assume you're letting the sports books know whatever you type out or whatever comes out of your mouth. If you have a reputation of at least being a little bit sharp, they know. So
everybody knows on this, I am very vocal on social media, my Instagram stories and stuff. I've got a whole history with Betway because I called them out on some shit or whatever, and they banned me from betting. And they said, a bunch of this hoopla about, we didn't actually ban you from what you said online. A bullshit. So they're listening, dude. Whether you post, if you tag them or not, they're looking at anything over social media. So watch what you guys say.
Yeah,
if you guys it's crazy, man.
Yeah, but so I've only made one bet so far, and it was just in the Cup Series. It's the only bet I've made. You're a little frozen again on me.
Yeah, it keeps doing this is the only time it's ever done this or whatever.
Yeah, no worries. But yeah, I'll just let you know, and that way, if you were asking a question or were saying something, I just only made one bet, and that's in the Cup Series so far this week.
Okay, perfect. All right, so then we'll move to. All right, so all I've got is Parker Kligerman over Austin Hill at -115.
And I like that.
on Bet
to
365.
steel man your argument, to take your side, I do think that Parker Klingerman overperforms or outperforms his numbers at high tire wear tracks and on road courses. To, I guess, steelman the other side, Austin Hill just sometimes gets it done. Like, whether he looks good in practice or bad in practice, it's like, oh, Austin Hill comes off pit road 4. Where did he come from? Like, so that would
Always,
be
man.
Yeah, he's just good at that. But I didn't pay attention as much to the race last week because I was live betting the truck race. I like ovals a little bit more than I like the road courses. So if he struggled like that, it's weird for a team to struggle that 21 squad, for them to struggle like that. That's kind of shocking. So
yeah, that's why I took it. And the only reason I did take it mainly is because it is,
What price did you get on that?
I got -1. They were both sitting at -115. They were both just sitting at it. I really wanted plus money, but I was like, man, this is the only book that's got this. And I feel like Kligerman, he's very consistent, and every time he goes to a road course. He also hurt me at Coda with Sage Karam, was going to be a top 5, and he fucking dumps him. So like, get your end of meet your end of the bargain here, buddy, and you better fucking cash me this weekend, or you're completely dead to me. Like Corey Heim, dead to me. I had Grant Enfinger. I know he wasn't the best truck, but like, don't have a temper tantrum. We've got a lot of work to do to be back in my good graces. So the Cup Series. All right. So we've got there's no SVG. He's spotting for one of his Australian buddies coming up from Supercars. And I'm going to say already, before we even get into it, I ain't touching that shit. This is not an SVG, but I'm not touching any of those guys until I see what the hell's going on in practice.
Yeah, I agree. I think what SVG did is he kind of shocked me. I was not on SVG at 100 to 1. I was not on him at 90 to 1, 75, 50 to 1. And I certainly wasn't going to jump on him at 8 to 1, thinking that was
that. Yeah, there's no way, dude.
I just sat there and did not bet I didn't even think the race was going to go. I went to dinner thinking that 6 inches of water on pit road, there's no way they're going to start. And next thing I know, I'm getting texts like, are you watching this? I'm like, watching what? No, so I had to scurry home. And I think here's what I think happened is, because of SVG, all of these young guns or all these road course ringers that come in are overvalued instantly because SVG came in and did it one time. So that's kind of where I'm at on those road course ringers.
Out here again. Oh, we're good. I'm here again.
Yeah, we're good now.
Yeah. I don't know what the hell is going on with this Wi-Fi.
Yeah, no worries.
It says 3 bars. Okay, it says 3 bars in my top right corner, but on StreamYard or whatever, it says 1 bar. What is going on?
You just got to hardwire in. That's the best way to do it.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to do that. So yeah, I totally agree, because he does it one time, and then ever since then, like he's driven like 10th or whatever.
Yeah.
Like SVG is driven like 10th when he's in the Cup Series, but not race winning speed. And everybody needs to remember that this is a track where they've been coming here for fucking decades.
It is not the first time we're seeing Sonoma. Like they've seen Sonoma for 35 years, right? They've been going to Sonoma. So this is not new. Chicago was new. So
yeah, exactly right. Different. So anything could have happened, and I think we were all going into that, whether it was Xfinity or Cup, we were like, anything could happen. And at this point, we know who's going to usually be good here, and so I think that like it's only those 2 guys, right? I think it's the 2 guys from Australian Supercars, and I think that's the only guys that are added into this field. I think, right?
Yeah.
We're not talking about Colleague. We're not talking about those dog shit cars.
Yeah.
Those guys switch all the time, but they're not trophy hunting. That guy was lying.
Yeah.
Chris Rice or whoever the hell said that. He was lying. So I'll start off with I don't know what you have. Do you want to say what you got? Or do you want me to go in a couple of picks? Maybe I'll
go ahead. I'll just kind of talk to you about your picks. I'll riff. Let me know what you got, and I'll
okay. I heard this from Ryan on Win the Race that it was on last week, and he goes, Josh Berry did the tire test. Everybody knows now Josh Berry, Ross Chastain, and Martin Truex did the tire test back in March, since the repave happened, and Josh Berry will just show up. He's not a road course guy. Okay. But the books had 66-1 was like the best number for top Ford. And he was 130-1 on DraftKings. So I just sprinkled like $5 or $10 on it.
On 130-1 top Ford?
Yeah.
Oh. I mean, Harvick's
I
won
don't know
there
if
in
it's
the
still
4-car before. Rodney Childers has won there. Like, I get it.
It's just
You're
it's
getting
just
paid.
$5.
It's I mean, yeah.
It's like coffee.
Yeah, who knows? And the Fords have struggled mightily,
Yeah.
I would say, at road courses just in general, outside of Buescher and McDowell. And those guys,
Yeah.
they're gosh, I don't want to use like second tier, but they ain't the Hamlins and Larsons and Bells of the world. So I mean, Chris Buescher's getting pretty close up there, but Brad Keselowski, I don't think he's a real threat to run well on road courses.
He'll be running 30th probably.
Yeah, I mean, McDowell and Buescher will probably be pretty strong, but dude, 130-1. I mean,
yeah, that's the only reason I saw was the discrepancy between the books. It was basically
yeah,
it was
you're just taking a number. You're taking a number.
Yeah, and it's just for fun. Like I see, was it Nick Giffen from Action Network? He always he'll just take these random long shots, put like sprinkle a little bit, but if it hits, you're gonna have a hell of a day. So that's the only reason. That's not now. Okay, let's talk about these lines from. I'm gonna do a little 2 matchups. Okay.
Okay.
The books after Austin Cindric's win last week are sucking him off. They're sucking him dry. They're sucking him dry.
Really?
There's gonna be nothing left. They have there was Ross on DraftKings. He's gonna be a little shriveled up prune. He's already very skinny. There's gonna be nothing left of this man. I think I got him on DraftKings at -125. I got Ross Chastain over Austin Cindric. Ross did the tire test.
Yep.
And Austin Cindric is so bad on a weekly basis. I understand he was good in the Xfinity series on road courses. I think he won multiple times, whatever. He was good down there. This is totally different. And Penske, whatever they're doing this year, has been absolute crap. So I got to take Ross. He did the tire test, and like Ross is very inconsistent too. But I mean, Austin Cindric, one time the guy wins. He was not the best car.
Yeah, he didn't win with the best car. Obviously, there's some recency bias there for odds makers and a lot of people. You also could take a look at Ross Chastain. His average finish over the last 2 years there is 8.5. He's finished 7th and 10th. Whereas you look at Austin Cindric, he's got a 5th and a 25th. But the biggest thing about Austin Cindric is he's qualified 25th and 34th, which are terrible qualifying positions. So if you're going just based off market movement and not necessarily what you think will happen after practice, anyone that typically qualifies poorly, the market will move against them. So I think if Chastain, who is an average starting spot of 11th, he's qualified 7th and 15th here. I think that you're probably stealing some value because Ross typically doesn't qualify well. And the fact he's qualified, in the top 10 here probably is looking pretty strong. The only thing I would say about Cindric is I don't know if I would probably say probably they're the same. They're probably the same at road course talent, I would say.
Yeah.
But I would.
The only thing is I just look at like his average finish. Yeah. Yeah. I just look at his finish. Right?
Was the fastest car, like maybe a little bit at Kansas.
Yeah, and I don't think he was the fastest at Vegas, but he was very close.
Yeah.
But like I was there, and he got screwed on a pit road penalty, and he should have been like top 5 car, right?
Yeah.
Like, but that other than that, man, like nothing.
Dude, he's been bad at places where he's typically good. He's good at Dover. He's good at Darlington. He was trash at both of those places. So,
which was shocking, right? Like we all go off the history. And we're all sitting there like, oh, he should be good. And so this could bite us, but just like getting in early. And if we're going off of what Penske's done this year. For the love of Pete. If you look at the Xfinity, he should be better at road courses, but like he's very inconsistent.
You're talking about Cindric, right? Well,
Cindric, yeah.
Dude, the Cup Series drivers are damn good, man. You like the difference. Look at guys like look at Ricky Stenhouse. I mean, I don't know how long you've been following the sport. He dominated the Xfinity Series. It was a nationwide series that time.
Yeah.
Hasn't done a whole lot in the Cup Series. But man,
They're so good, dude.
So yeah, Cup drivers are good. They're really good. So Cindric, I think that there's upside on Cindric in maybe the outright markets, but I don't trust him because now he's also in prime position. Just take stage points. He's got to win under the belt. If you're that 2 team, I think that you're staying out and taking stage points in both stage 1 and stage 2 because you've got the win. Yeah. He ain't going to pick up stage points in any other race. This is their chance to do it. Yeah. Now, if he qualifies in the top 5,
man.
If he qualifies in the top 5 and he has a race-winning car, he'll probably undercut the stage. But if he doesn't do that, if he qualifies like he has in the past at this track, he's taking stage points. I guarantee you, he's not going to try to win the race. He just can't. That I guess that would be kind of strong manning your side of that bet.
And then the other one. Now this could hurt us. All right. We're fading Cindric this week. All right. Denny looked so speedy last year, but this fucking guy gets into the wall on his own accord. All right. So just remember, Denny could go full dum-dum and slam into walls for no reason, like Kyle Larson in the Xfinity race. Hamlin over Cindric. They were both sitting at -115. So I took Hamlin. The only reason I say this is because he's good in qualifying at road courses now. I think it's because Sonoma, the old boys usually seem to show up. He's driven here so many times. The speed of the Toyotas, the speed of Denny Hamlin this year, I think he could do it. And Cindric just seems to run in the back of the pack no matter what's going on other than last week.
Yeah, I do think Hamlin will out-qualify Cindric. So you'll be able to look at practice times and say, hey, maybe I keep that bet or don't keep that bet. As long as the market's moving in your favor, right? If that -115 goes to -165, -170, it's really easy for you to unload that position on the other side and take Cindric and say, you know what? Cindric's good on the long run. Denny was great in qualifying. I took a stab. The market moved, and now I can get out of my position. Or if it moves enough, you could bet some of it back and then have better implied odds on your original bet, risking less. So you have a lot of opportunity as long as the market's moving in your direction. Yeah. I can hear you. You're just frozen.
All right. I switched to my data instead.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, I just switched to my data. Said, screw this. I'm not dealing with no Wi-Fi right now. All right. Continue on, my friend.
Yeah, no, I think, whenever the market moves in your favor, it gives you options. That's why it's important early in the week to make sure you're just stealing market value versus trying to pick the winner of the race. Pick a few spots where you think the market's going to move in your direction. That way, if practice and qualifying happens in the way you want it, the market's going to move and you can decide to keep that position or you can unload it if the price is right on the other side.
Okay. So this is why we have the professional here. He's breaking it all down. I give out picks. I talk all my nonsense. I get a little goofy. We get a little crazy. And then this is why we have the professional give us all the data behind everything. That's why we had Ryan last week and we got Chris Werme, not Chris Worm, guys.
Yeah, it's Wormy.
I call him Worm. He's a little worm at times. He's got a little worm above his little upper lip there. It looks
got a worm.
Nice.
Yeah. Gross little.
I feel like at this point, like you got the dad stash, dude.
Yeah, dude. I'm just trying to be.
You're gonna be a dad. You got to work it in now.
Yeah. That's exactly what it is.
All right. I think so. Other than that, I've just taken some outrights. I was looking at some top 5 or I haven't put down my one top 10 because at the time Action Network didn't have it up. But now people might be calling me crazy, but I hit this at Watkins Glen too. And Watkins Glen, Sonoma, the road courses have been around for a long time.
Yeah, the OGs.
Joey Logano's been dog poop, but plus 220, Joey Logano top 10. But the only thing that scares me is because everybody's on it. Everybody's on it, and whenever everybody's on this stuff, it seems not to hit. But it's a repave. Show me. Everybody wants to say repave king. He finished what, third here last year or whatever. Show me your repave king.
Yeah,
show me. I want to see.
I almost bet this myself. So
yeah.
Logano, you could just say whenever there's like a massive change or a new track, I feel like Paul Wolf is just a little bit better at setting up the car or predicting what's going to happen in the race. Because I thought I do like Logano. Right. He's priced. Joey Logano's a 2-time champion. We're not talking about someone that went out there and lucked his way into a championship. I mean, this guy's won at all sorts of tracks. And if you were to tell me that Joey Logano was going to win at Sonoma, if you're looking back, you go, oh yeah, well Joey Logano can win anywhere.
That makes sense.
So I do think that top 10 price. I do think that top 10 price is there. I just wonder, where's that team at? Are they feeling must-win situation, or do you think that they think they can point their way in?
Yeah. See, and that's the only thing I went back for place that right is are they going to stay out like they did in 2022? They stayed out, but they also had that early win right at Atlanta.
Yeah. So that's I think that's the question this week on some of these guys like Chris Buescher. Does Chris Buescher think he can point his way in? If he doesn't, well, he's got to try to win the race.
Yeah.
If he does, if he thinks he can point his way in, then and he qualifies poorly, I think you see him stay out and take stage points. So that's why another layer that you have to take into account when handicapping road courses for guys that are just going to give up on stage points to try to win the race. You cannot win stage 2 and the race. So whoever stays out to win stage 2, you get that playoff point.
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, no, I was just saying, like, you can't do both. So you just you want to know who those guys are.
Once we get later on in year, you have to also start weighing out people with stage points. Right?
Yeah,
that's more complicated part when it starts sitting later and closer towards the playoff season is stage points, and that's why when we're going to get. I took Buescher 16-1. That's the only place I've taken him. And because I've thought the exact same thing as stage points, because I know he can win, like he can win anywhere, and he can win at Michigan when I'm there. So it's like, does he play his risk now? Because like he's been there, he's been a top car, he know be a top 10 car, but you just stay out and get like a bunch of stage points because you know that a Mark Rex is in the field, Chase Elliott could come out of nowhere. AJ Allmendinger and all these other guys that can actually win the race, usually race winning speed. So yeah, I that's the only reason I've taken him at 16-1, but that 10 just seems like it could hit, or he could just stay out for points. But I think this guy is gonna he's just gonna be there. And plus 220 feels like a great number.
Joey Logano's always kind of there. And then you said you took Buescher at 16. The only bet I made was Buescher top 5. So let's get into the
right markets then.
Yeah. So I took Buescher top 5. Huh. We lost him. Hopefully he can come back in.
I don't know what the hell's going on. Okay, so I don't know what's going on, dude, but this is getting crazy.
Dude, I'll send you a message right now. It was 48:40 is when it went out. So then you can edit it.
Perfect. I think. Thanks, buddy. So you said you only took Chris Buescher at what?
Top 5? Plus 220, top 5.
Okay, so that's not too bad.
That's my bet. And here's my thought process behind Chris Buescher. He's a really gritty road course racer. He has the best average finish here at Sonoma. He's also a guy that if he qualifies deep in the field, I trust him to make passes on a road course, which is not something you can say for a lot of guys that qualify deep. If Ryan Blaney qualifies deep in the field, he ain't driving to the front, where Chris Buescher actually has enough talent on road courses to make it to the front. The other thing is, if you go back and look at this 2023 season leading up into Sonoma, Gateway, Charlotte, Darlington, Kansas, Dover, we weren't even talking about Chris Buescher as someone that could win those races. Whereas now this year, look at he could have won Kansas. He could have won Darlington. So he's got speed in his race car, more speed than he's had in a long time. The Fords are finally catching their stride when it comes to just flat out speed.
Yeah.
Couple that with a guy that needs to win a race in Chris Buescher. And I think he has to feel like this is his best chance to win so far this year. With that speed and his ability to just get it done on road courses. So I'm very high on Chris Buescher, but the biggest reason I like to back guys on a road course, the guys like Buescher, because they have to be able to go through the field. Because if all of a sudden there's a chance that this guy could qualify poorly, I want to make sure that we can still get to the front. Now my light went out. What the hell? Now it's back on. What is going on right now?
Dude?
It's just
what is going on?
So anyway, now it's on.
Dude,
I just think Buescher can work his way through the field. I like backing guys that can drive through the field. That's what I wanted. That's the point I was trying to get off. And I do think Chris Buescher can do that.
I totally agree with that. You know what it kind of reminds me of, now that you're breaking it down and I'm just sitting here listening, is the 2022 season with Toyotas. It took them up. They were kind of crap all year, but it took a bit, about halfway through the season, to be able to find their stride. And they're doing the same thing. They have the new body, right? They're trying to figure out everything with this new body. And I think they're starting to finally figure it out. So I wouldn't be absolutely shocked if all of a sudden Ford starts showing up even more. Definitely Penske, but so like Chris Buescher, but I mean, I think our RFK's been there the whole time.
Yeah, RFK is good, man. I think I know that Brad's gonna. My guess is Brad will struggle this week. I remember when Brad Keselowski was a good road course racer. I don't know what the hell has happened. I don't know if it's the shifting with this car versus cars in the past, but I remember him. I want to say it was at Watkins Glen battling Marcos Ambrose, and it was like the greatest finish in NASCAR history.
Yeah, it's like he doesn't care anymore, almost.
And it's like, I'm just gonna hang out and back. So he's probably a guy. I would say Brad's probably a guy you maybe take in stage matchups, because I think he stays out.
He's done that a lot.
RFK. Let's see, Charlotte. I think the RFK cars were the best cars. I know that we had issues with Buescher. He had issues with Hamlin on pit road, and he had issues with the 3 on pit road. Yeah. But Brad Keselowski was better than Chris Bell. Chris Bell said it. He's like, if we ended right now, like, I got to hold off a fast 6 car.
I was telling everybody in the whole crowd, I was like, dude, please go green, because we already know Brad K's winning this bitch.
Oh,
and Chris Buescher is going to be top 5, no doubt. Agreed. They're so good. They run right next to each other on a weekly basis, man.
But I just don't know where their speed will come next. If you look at the next few races, Sonoma, obviously that's this week. Then you have Nashville. Oh no, this was last year. I'm looking at last year.
So Iowa is at the end of June, right? And Iowa, I think, did Brad or Chris Buescher did a tire test there, I think.
Oh, really? So it goes Sonoma, Iowa, Loudon, Nashville, Chicago. They could be good at Iowa. Iowa's, gosh, I don't want to think it's quite a mile track. And
it's gonna be interesting.
It's gonna be I think it'll be similar to Richmond, which is obviously a place where Buescher's won in the past. Brad K's won in the past.
I would love to have you back on for breaking down Iowa, since it's our first time there
next week.
And what?
Next week.
Is Iowa next week?
Next week, yeah. Well, I mean,
is it really?
Well, next week I'm in Arizona. I can't do next week.
Okay, I didn't even realize. I haven't even looked at the schedule. I just know that next week is the U.S. Open for golf, and I was like, oh, I'm betting on that.
Yeah. Well, you bet on golf this week. I saw you tweet that out.
Yeah. And hey, we're Colin Morikawa and Corey Connors. Go to the Action Network. Link is in the bio.
Oh,
We're
boy.
looking real nice, but Scotty Scheffler could just fist fuck everybody, all the time.
What did Morikawa shoot today?
He was 4 under, and Corey Connors, the guy that can't putt on Sundays, the Canadian boy who grew up about 30 minutes from me, and my dad grew up in the town. This is why we take Corey Connors. A little biased, but my dad grew up on a farm outside Listowel there once, and he shot 4 under as well.
Nice. Yeah, I just have Ludwig.
I love him, dude. I know we're talking NASCAR, but Ludwig Aubert, dude, I want to take him on it. Like all these big ones, definitely like the US Open and stuff.
Yeah.
Like all these big ones, he just seems he's gonna win one, dude.
Yeah, I hope. That'd be great.
And they kind of give you at a long number too, which makes
they
now
did.
They
don't anymore. He's 16-1 to win the Open now. It's kind of a pain.
The worst bet I've made this week is Wyndham Clark, and he's 4 over. So that really hurts me inside. Wyndham just decides not to show up this week. I'm preparing for the US Open next week. Anyways, so let's break down. Let's finish off the podcast. We'll break down some outrights. So that's the only bet you took?
It's the only bet I've taken.
Okay. So I have Chris Buescher 16-1. You can pick out whatever one here, but I'm just gonna say them all. Denny Hamlin 25-1. Kyle Busch 28-1. I saw 30-1 out there. Kyle Busch has been very consistent at road courses and definitely at Sonoma. And then Joey Logano 45-1.
Yeah, I like where your head's at on long shots. I think anyone taking a short price on anybody, I don't know that I'd do that. There's a lot of unknowns. And you also picked guys or bet guys where the market will move drastically if they qualify well, right? Like Hamlin went off at like 8-9-1 last year after the poll, and you got 25-1. So, and even though books are like pricing Logano at 45-1, if he qualifies in the top 4, he ain't going to be 45-1. This isn't like Michael McDowell last week where they have him at 200 or 300-1, and then he qualifies in the poll and he reopens 80-1. Like these guys, the guys that you bet on are going to get respect. If Kyle Busch looks fast in practice, he's not going to go off at 15 or 16-1. He's going to go off at 8-1. So as long as you've just taken small positions on guys with the potential to kind of move in your direction, that just reduces the casino's hold or the odds makers hold, and you're able to bet other guys and kind of round out your card.
That's why, so like definitely with this race, it seems like on a consistent basis, it seems that the old boys show up on this, right?
Yeah.
So Martin Truex, obviously, he's got the respect, and there's a reason why he's the favorite. If you're taking Kyle Larson and Chase Elliott right now, you're a crazy person. Now, these odds in the Gen 6 car that they're sitting at, take them. Holy shit, take them. Take them right now while you're at it. Take the top 5, take the top 3. They're going to be there. But right now, with the Gen 7 car and how they've shown up, I wouldn't take it. I would hold off. But I totally agree with what you're saying is Kyle Busch has had a great history here.
Yeah.
He's been good in the Gen 7 car. And to be like 28-30-1 outright, I don't necessarily think like he's got some big dogs to go against. Tyler Reddick, Martin Truex, Kyle Larson, Chase Elliott. I could name them all. But like 28-1. That just seems like crazy.
The problem with Kyle is he hasn't finished races lately. Like that's my only thing is he's got to go out there. He's got to get finishes. But we've also seen last year.
Choir over here, pal.
Yeah, he last year at Gateway, no one saw him winning, and he goes out there and pulls it and kind of dominates the race, stays in the top 3 all day long. Yeah. If he can do that here, you're going to get paid. Like you just are.
Maybe
gosh, I'm really looking forward to practice. We get an hour or 15 minutes of practice with everyone on the track. Like everyone is just so excited for this is what we used to get, right? At least an hour.
They need to go back to this because this is great.
This is great. I tweeted last week when there was 30 minutes of all the cars on the track. I was like, okay, nobody died. Like we can do this. Like guys, we can do this. We can get all the cars in the track. This A and B group for whatever. I don't know. I hear it's coming from Fox Sports. I don't know if that's true or not. All I know is what the hell are we doing with 2 separate practice sessions? Just put them all out there for 40 minutes.
Just have fun. Like it's good watching TV. Maybe now that we're talking about, maybe Amazon is going to have a little bit of say in that, because they're going to be Amazon and TNT be like, we want some viewership. Get them all out there. Let's just have some fun. Like it's good TV to watch. Like I try and get anybody into NASCAR and they're like, you're sitting watching practice. And I went, well, does sound kind of crazy because only half the field's out there, but it makes it fun, man. And it just adds a little bit of strategy of when to go out with practice, how many cars are out there, more to talk about, right?
Oh, I think and Denny's talked about this on his podcast. He said that, and I guess I'm paraphrasing because I can't remember exactly what he said, but it was like, if we want sports betting and betting on NASCAR to become a thing, the more information we can give people, whether it's smoke and mirrors or not, like they want a reason to make a bet. And if they see someone run a fast lap in practice, that's a reason. No one's just going to look at the board and just say, oh, Sonoma, Truex has won 4 times here. He should have won 5 or 6 times here. I should bet him at 4-1. No, give us some more shit to look at. The roulette little board has no bearing on what's going to come up next. All it did was people now perceive like they can beat the roulette wheel with seeing all that information. So give us some more information. Give us more track time, but unfortunately, there's not many people watching those things. The only people watching it are the dorks like us.
Yeah, and I'll keep saying it. I say it on the podcast all the time. I say it on my Instagram and Twitter. Is I feel like I'm just beating a dead horse here, but like NASCAR really needs to embrace guys like you, guys like me, Dale Tanhart, and I could go on.
There's a lot of guys.
The betting community, and get into betting. Like I understand they have the South and the Bible Belt and all this stuff. There's a lot of fans down there, but there's a new generation. You got to start investing. It was nice to see Bet Rivers get in on it. I think BetMGM was in on races. I mean, like it's nice to see these companies get in on it, but I feel like at the same time, NASCAR is like, all right, is this our last hope to like get an offer in to sponsor this race? All right, fine. Bet Rivers, get in on it. BetMGM, get in on it. Because I don't think they like us. I've heard stories about Dale Tanhart. Like NASCAR doesn't like the kind of stuff that he makes, so they make it hard for him to be able to get VIP passes, to get or media passes and stuff as well. Like they go through the ringer to make sure. Like it seems very old school, and they need to. FanDuel is also a joke. Like FanDuel being the main sponsor for NASCAR, I'm just gonna keep beating this dead horse. FanDuel fucking sucks for betting. They can suck my dick. I'm saying it on the podcast right now. If Bet Rivers wants to sponsor me, I'll keep saying FanDuel can suck my dick. But like they suck. How are you the main sponsor for NASCAR for betting? And you come out with
FanDuel
nothing.
Or is it DraftKings?
DraftKings is DFS.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, DraftKings is DFS. Now I talked to a DraftKings guy at the 2311 thing down in Charlotte, and he's like, "Yeah, we've been really trying to push to be able to get more involved in the NASCAR. It feels like the most untapped market for like a major sports betting in the States, like a major sport. And so they consistently come out with top 10s this year and everything. But FanDuel is poo-poo.
Yeah.
I'm going on a rant.
I'll say this. I'll say I'll say this. NASCAR takes great care of me every time I go. I just want to get that on record.
Nice.
They do. NASCAR takes very good care of me every time I go.
Don't badmouth them or
no, I'm just saying that they do take care of me. Now, do I think that the broadcast struggle? Yeah, I do. I think that if you want race fans to take this seriously, you can't show a 5-second clip of the odds and have Clinton Boyer and Kevin Harvick go, oh gosh, Josh Berry, 1,000 plus 1,000. That's a good bet. It's like, no, it's not.
It's not.
Actually have someone out there that has skin in the game. Like I have no problem going out there and actually saying, like, putting my you have to have skin in the game. You can't just, oh, by the way, shit on TV and think people are bet it and take it seriously. The other thing you can't do, there is a very big difference between covering the sport as a journalist and betting on the sport for a living. And it's very easy for journalists to think that they can pop in here, and nothing against them. Nothing against them at all. But they are experts in covering the sport. They are not experts in the math that goes into making money long run.
Yeah.
And it discredits journalists that cover the sport that say, hey, I'm going to give my picks. My picks are this. And I'm not talking about Bob Pockris. Bob Pockris, he's on a platform and a level that I'm talking about.
It's untouched.
He's untouchable. I mean, he's the man. He's like when we had him on our podcast, I just laughed the whole time. He's just the best.
I love him so
much. I'm talking about people that give like betting advice or DFS advice. It can't really come from that journalist side unless you've actually spent a lot of time doing it, because they're gonna struggle, and they're gonna lose credibility as a journalist, and they're two separate things. Let me be the one that gets the picks. Let me be the one that gets it wrong 3 weeks in a row and explain, hey, were we on the right side or the wrong side? Let me actually do it for a season, and then let's see how it goes. But quite frankly, you're not going to reach people our age if your goal is to reach people our age. You can't have drivers from the past come in and do this. You need to have someone like Bissonnette, that's coming from the NHL world and actually is someone different. You have these guys and I like all these people. Like, I think that they're all great. Throw in one person. Who's the personality in NASCAR? Kenny Wallace?
Dude.
Who's the personality in NASCAR? I don't even know who it is. NASCAR Chasm?
Yeah.
Like, he's the personality, but he's just on social media.
So I keep sitting here all the time. I'm like, if you guys are going to take somebody with personality, because even if drivers retire, you ain't putting Martin Truex up there because that guy ain't got no personality. No. Denny Hamlin, maybe, but
Denny's got personality at least, but he's an owner too. Like he has
a little bit of conflict of interest.
And by the way, I love Denny, and I think his podcast is great.
Yeah,
he's very Denny centric, which he should be. Yeah. So, like, when you get his side, you get Denny's side, right? Yeah. You don't get I think you don't get the truly objective side. So, I think that the streaming services coming up, there's some things in the works, hopefully for like the betting side of things. I don't know what else there is out there. Like, I know that I don't think Amazon wants NASCAR to be, I don't think that they are looking at the age demographic and saying like, oh, we hope it gets older. That's not the case. Definitely. There's only one older. It's the oldest demographic in sports is golf, and then it's NASCAR. They're trying to make it younger. How do you do that? Yeah. Well, betting is a pretty damn good way to do it.
Beautiful thing, man. I use this all the time. We got to close at the podcast here in a couple of minutes, but I use Barstool Sports as the main thing I use as an example. Look at what they did just off of like putting stuff in the newspaper, and it started off as a gambling thing. Look at what they've done. The deal they signed with DraftKings. Once everything has become like they got to run the numbers of the young demographic, the age group of in North Carolina alone that starts betting, right? Mm-hmm. You guys got to start leaning into this betting. You got to start leaning into gambling. I get it. It's like, it can be for some people, if they're not smart with it, it can lead to a dark path, but the younger demographic. How many friends in Canada here, once betting became legalized here, they go, you bet on NASCAR? And I go, I'm pretty profitable with it. So just like, I'll give you some picks every week. And then they start tweeting out and like sharing with all their friends, like, holy shit, like this is NASCAR's where it's at. So now they all watch NASCAR when they got a little skin in the game. There's a lot more to this. And I hope that Amazon and TNT really
best case scenario, there's a betting alternate broadcast. That's the best world.
Oh God, I would love that.
Could you imagine that?
Twitch or something or whatever. Like, I don't care what it is, or like something on Amazon Prime that's just off to the side. You can click on it, and somebody's got some real skin in the game. Because nothing against Steve Letarte and all those guys, but at least Steve Letarte, he's giving out these picks. But sometimes I'm going, I know you've been on the podcast, but sometimes I'm going, come on now. But you don't have real skin in the game. You don't have real skin in the game. You have your life is depending on it, really. Not me. I will have a regular job. And then I also do this, but like your life is depending on it. I'd rather have you, not to suck you off, but you or whatever on there. Like, okay, this is my thoughts, and that's make or break for me.
The other thing, here's why you would prefer my like, obviously, other than the skin of the game, is for me, my mentality is like, I hate losing even one bet.
Yeah.
Like, one bet for me matters a lot. Like,
Yeah,
I
man.
want to, if I like, I want to bet as much as possible without losing a bet. That's like my thought process going into the weekend. Like, how can I bet as much as possible where I don't think I'm going to lose one single bet? And I just don't think the broadcast at this point, they're just saying stuff and it's
Yeah.
not taken seriously. And that to me is just a missed opportunity.
Mhm.
Like, I don't know. I'm trying hard as I can to get into the broadcasting analyst side of sports,
Yeah.
or of not sports, NASCAR. And like, I'm going to keep doing it for a little bit longer. And if nothing pans out, it's like, well, okay, I tried. But that's why I do the pre-race poll. That's why I do these podcasts. That's why I want to hop on with you. Like, this is good practice for me
Yeah.
to just have a conversation about NASCAR. You didn't send me, hey, this is what we're going to talk about today. There was none of that. I was just like, hey,
See, and
just wanted
that's
to just
why I like doing this podcast. Is some people have listened to it, like even Large from Barstool and Spider, they've said they've listened to it, and and a couple of my other buddies are like, man, it's just like it's fun. You don't have a structure to it. You're just hanging out talking NASCAR,
Mhm.
and it's good for the future. Like I would love, like that's the dream, is either get signed by NASCAR, signed by a big company where I can just talk NASCAR. I just want something casual, and a lot of people just want to be able to listen to something that's casual, NASCAR centric, whatever. You could talk about whatever, but to get into the analyst side is great. And I don't know what, like, if they can get guys like you, or I'm biased with me,
Mhm.
or Dale Tanhart, or that Moonhead guy, or Large, or somebody that's just like into NASCAR, that just loves it so much, has a little bit of skin in the game and has some knowledge to it, and can just shoot the shit and has a little bit of um an eccentric side to them, man, they could just skyrocket. Like, because once Mike Joy's gone, Mike Joy's not giving us much either. Where's that Fox broadcast going, dude?
Yeah, I don't know.
That's why I tweeted out, you shared it or you liked it or whatever. Larry McReynolds, get that man in there. He looks like a G on a weekly basis.
Dude, Larry Mack, there's two people where, okay, I guess I'll change it. There's people that I talk to, on the betting side of things. I talk a lot to Derek Yoder. I talk to
Yeah.
Highline Betting and Zach, and I talk to Ryan Stevens. That's kind of my crew of people that
Love
I
those guys. Yeah.
that I talk to, and then obviously Todd, that I talk to on Sunday mornings, just to make sure that, hey, we're where are we at here? But then there's people in the sport that if I disagree with them, I will say, ooh, maybe I'm wrong. And that's Steve Letarte and Larry Mack.
Yeah.
If Jeff Burton and I disagree, I can tell you right now, I'm right and he's wrong. Like, that's just, and
Yeah.
that's just, I that's just the truth. And so that there's
Yeah.
guys, and Larry Mack and Steve Letarte are so damn good. And
Oh, yeah.
where I think, fuck, I know that I've talked to Steve Letarte before. He spends a lot of time telling the producer where the camera should be. I cannot believe, this makes me so fucking mad to think about this. We did not watch Ryan Blaney come off pit road to see where where him and Chris Bell and Austin Cindric were on the track. Like, that doesn't happen on NBC because you have Steve Letarte saying, hey, Austin Cindric and Ryan Blaney are racing for the lead right now. Cindric pitted a lap later. He's going to be coming off of pit road, and Ryan Blaney is already on the track. That's what we need to be watching. I have to wait for my lap tracker to update to find out who actually won the race off pit road.
Yeah.
Why does that happen at Fox? And I know why, because I don't have anyone like Steve Letarte. If Larry Mack was in there telling them what to look for, we wouldn't know exactly. But how many times have we seen that with Fox, where it's like, you're missing the race for the lead, everybody.
You are
That's
showing
like, you're
children
showing, yeah,
currently.
you're showing something that doesn't matter. Whereas Letarte, they don't miss that. Letarte, I guarantee, is telling the producer, hey, this is the race for the win. I know that they're running 15th and 16th right now, but once this cycles through, this is the race for the win.
I
So
think that's one thing we'll finish off with this, but like I'm just really excited for next year with what's to come with Fox still scares the shit out of me, right? But once we get through that, we have Amazon. Dale Jr. is going to be in there, right? I'm so excited to see what the hell goes on with that because Dale is a goddamn genius, right?
Yeah.
People are all scared. Oh, I don't have Amazon. You don't have Amazon Prime. Then what year are you living in?
Yeah, no kidding. Who doesn't have Amazon?
Yeah. TNT. I'm excited to see what it is. I don't know what it's going to be like in Canada. I'm sure they'll still have TSN. But like NBC, I'm never worried because like Steve Letart's in there. The guy is a goddamn genius.
Yeah.
So I'm never worried. But like to see what Amazon goes on with that, I'm so excited to see what happens. And I think Fox has got to be got some sweaty booty cheeks because it ain't looking good for them after last week's broadcast. And I think we're all praising to God that we're going to NBC.
Oh yeah,
or in a week.
Yeah, I agree. Hey, what do you think about just the same commercials that run on the Speed Network or the Fox Racing Network? Dun, 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 dun. Like it's,
and then we show them like 10 times.
Yeah, you show the same 5 commercials. I've never seen anything like that in my life. It's the same 5 commercials in the same order.
So, and the thing, see, we should end this, but at the same time, I want to keep talking about this. It was like, I think that the thing that F1 nails, right? And my sister's fiance, big F1 guy, so gay, right? Like poor guy. Yeah, poor guy. And I have to go watch. I don't have to. I'm going to watch a freaking. I'm going to wear all my NASCAR gear, right? And we're going to watch the Canadian Grand Prix at this big showing in downtown Cambridge near me, right? And they're all drinking margaritas and stuff. It's so stupid, right?
Yeah.
So I'm just going to hold a sign up saying, NASCAR is superior. But like an hour and a half of racing, no commercials, and then it's over. And it's well, not every Sunday, but like they just nail it, right? I try and get my friends into it, and we go out to the bar. And I feel like every time hey, can you guys flip the channel to this NASCAR race? We're watching it for like maybe 10 minutes and then commercial. And then now we're like it's hard to get my friends into it when there's commercials. And I get it. We got to make our money. And NASCAR is a hard market, but like to make money in it, but it's like, dude, we're trying. Yeah. I don't know where the, like how we can fix that because it's always been that way. But Fox just seems really bad at timing. Every time we go to commercial, I'm looking at Bob Pockers and I'm going, tell me there's a caution.
Yeah.
Tell me because I know what's happening.
Yeah. Yeah, like what are you coming back to? Did I miss a lead change? Should I miss a blown tire?
I don't know what race it was this year, but there was like a 5-way battle or 4-way battle for the lead. I don't know if it was like Kansas or something.
Yeah, it was Kansas.
Yeah, and they go to commercial.
Yeah, it's like, oh, you're missing some of the best racing we've seen in a couple of years. You should go to that. Like, yeah. And we don't get side by side very often up here in Canada. So
no, yeah, man. Like, I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I've illegally streamed it like some Abu Dhabi shit on like I'm not gonna say the website, but like I've illegally streamed it so I can just keep watching the continuous race because that doesn't go to commercial.
Yeah.
Just so I can see what the hell's going on. So I'll have it on my phone and on the TV, like on the illegal stream on my phone, and then on the TV is just a regular broadcast. Because it's absolutely.
You could always just hop on like MRN and PRN on the app, and
those guys, dude, those guys on the broadcast.
They're so into it. Get those guys on the broadcast. Look at what Lee Diffie did just for the Indy 500. He was incredible.
Dude, how many times have I said this? And people need to realize, like, you're at the track and MRN guys are like, I'm just like, let's go. This is like IndyCar. This is like, F1. You're like, holy shit, I love this. Like this, I love fucking NASCAR. Like it just gets me so hyped. You can listen to MRN, mute the TV broadcast, and put the broadcast on the TV and line it up somehow because they are into it, dude. But
they're good.
All right, Chris, we've talked for almost an hour and a half. You're a good man. You're going to be a father. You're an honorary Canadian. You didn't even have one drink this whole time. You lied to me.
Who, me?
Yeah. Oh, no, I did. Okay, right. True. I don't know what.
Are you kidding me? Come on, I've had 2. This is my 2nd beer.
Right. My bad. I haven't been paying attention. I've been too busy drinking these nasty beasts. #, not a sponsor, maybe a sponsor soon.
Yeah, all right. There you
go. So tell them where all they can find, or everybody can find
you. I post everything on Twitter. If you don't like NASCAR, certainly don't give me a follow because it's all NASCAR at Chris Werme 15, CHRISWERME 15. I have a podcast that comes out every Thursday, pretty much wherever you want to find your podcast. And then I do a pre-race show called the Pre-Race Pull, which is it's actually become quite popular. I didn't realize it was gonna kind of become as big as it is, but it's kind of like this hive mind where I just kind of go through and I kind of talk out loud. I run through every driver, kind of predict their finish, and we get like a really smart group of people in there that talk about NASCAR. And I get convinced in bets. I'm making bets we're betting the whole time we're on there. It's great. And the cool part about it is, the egos are kind of left at the door, and let's just get it right. I don't care who's right. I don't care if it's you. I don't care if it's Ryan Stevens, Derek Yoder, Todd Furman. Let's just get it right, because again, it's not our bets competing with each other. It's us versus the books. And so we come together, we have a conversation. We just try to get it right. It doesn't matter who's right. And we made a few bets recently. Odds have kind of and odds move really quickly on there. And that goes about 2 hours before the race. So it'll be 1:30 Eastern, 10:30 a.m. Pacific. And it's on YouTube and on X. Check it out. Bring a beer, and we drink beers, and I'll probably drink wine this weekend.
Oh,
we drink an adult beverage.
If you're a wine person, yeah.
We'll drink adult beverage, and we'll talk betting. So those are the two pieces of content I put out every week, and then every now and then I jump on stuff like this. So thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
Yeah, of course, my man, and I'll have you on probably in another couple of weeks or whatever too. And yeah, guys, please go check him out. He's a legend. He's now, I got a lot of listeners that are Canadian as well too. So he's now on. Welcome him to Canada. Send him like Canadian flags. All right, guys. Well, this has been the Hot Pass podcast. It's been an extra long one, and I love doing this. We did this with Ryan from Win the Race last week. So make sure to go check out the Hot Pass podcast wherever you get your podcasts. Go to YouTube. This is going to be up tomorrow early morning. And hopefully we can all make some bags and not have an absolute chaotic race. I don't think we will, but it's going to be a good race this weekend, and enjoy some wine, and go check out Chris Werme 15 on Twitter. All right. We'll talk to you guys later, and enjoy your weekend. Let's go make a bag, baby. See ya.